All right, welcome back, my mathletes. That's right, we're going to get into example number 2 of solving quadratics by completing the square with our a value equal to 1. So from last time, that was our first problem. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at this guy over here. So let's move this over so we get a little bit of room here. So we're going to put this guy, maybe if the technology works, we're going to take him, move him over here. So we're going to start example number 2. And then example number 3 that you can see here, you're actually going to do that one on your own to check yourself to make sure that we're solid. So let's go ahead and take a look at example number 2. Now, of course, very first thing, remember, we're going to move that 69 over to the other side. So we'll have v plus 8v, or v squared plus 8v equals, when you add that over, you'll get 71. Now, taking that 8, and again, we have 8 again, so we take that value, 8, and divide it by 2, and square that. So 8 divided by 2 squared, so that's going to give me 4 squared, and when I square 4, I'll end up with 16. So I'm going to add plus 16 onto both sides. Now when we add 16 and 71, that gives us a total of 87. And then v squared plus 8v plus 16. So here's another way to kind of think about this. So what I'm going to do is kind of think about it like, if I were to square root the v squared, I get v. If I square root 16, I get 4. Boom, boom, boom. And then I look at the sign of the term in the middle. So this guy right here is positive 8v. So that means in the middle, I'm going to have a plus. If that was a minus 8v, then the term, it would be v minus 4 instead of v plus 4. And now another spot I could use to check that. If I look over here, this is a positive 4, not a negative 4. So those things are all connected there. So from here, once we've got that all set up, from there, what we're going to do is simply square root both sides. And remember, be careful, so you have v plus 4 equals plus or minus the square root of 87. Then moving that 4 over, will give us v equals negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 87. So that is our solution to number 2, example number 2, because 87 is also a prime number. So if it wasn't a prime number, then we would just have to simplify that a little bit further. But you get the idea of completing a square so far by taking a trinomial and rewriting it as a binomial squared and moving things around and looking at it from solving like we did when we solve quadratics by taking square roots. Now we got one other example here, and that's this guy. N squared minus 8 and plus 12 equals 3. So go ahead and pause, and then come on back, check yourself, make sure that you're all good. All right, rock stars, let's go through this one and make sure we're all set and good to go. Now, again, remember, we got n squared minus 8n plus 12 equals negative 3. Moving the 12 to the other side, negative 12 plus 3 gives us negative 15. So that's its first value right here, this very first one, when we added that 12. And then to come up with a plus 16, take half of the b term, which is negative 8, half of that, and square it. You end up with 16. So we'll add 16 to both sides. Taking the trinomial n minus 8n squared minus 8n plus 16, writing that as a binomial, we're going to write that as n minus 4, and that binomial is going to be squared. And that'll give us 1. So n minus 4 squared equals 1. Square root both sides, don't forget plus or minus. Now here's one that's a little bit different, right? So we're going to stretch our brains a little bit because square root of 1 is actually 1. So rather than leave this as just n equals 4 plus or minus 1, we're actually going to rewrite this, and we're going to have two different solutions. So one, we're going to have when n is 4 plus 1, which we know that has a value of 5. So that's one solution. We get a whole number, we get an integer solution. That's pretty cool. And then we're going to have another one where we get n equals 4 minus 1, which of course we end up with a value of 3. So these are my two solutions to this problem. N is 5 and n is 3. So this is one where you don't want to leave that as 4 plus or minus 1. You want to find the integer values, the whole number values that would give you. All right, that's it for this example. That's number 3 coming at you, and hopefully you did that right and you're good with number 2. Now let's take a look at this. If this were a quiz, right, because we always wanted to see this, you'd get a point for making sure that you get the correct binomial written. N minus 4 squared equals 1. You'll get a point for showing your work. So you get a point for showing your work. And then, of course, simplifying your answer or getting down to your final 2 answers, that would be your third and final point. Now, if you had one that was a plus or minus, you could just leave that, like in example 2, is negative 4 plus or minus 87, square root of 87, and that'd be fine. All right, so that's it for this one. Thanks you guys for watching, man. I appreciate you every day. Make it the best day ever, because there's no good reason not to. But I'll come back, and I'll see you guys again on another video. Until then, have a great day. Peace out.